Asalaam Aleykum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the Sultan Podcast. Today we're going to be going through Surah At-Tin. So, the first ayah, Wat-Tin was Zaytun. Two differences of opinion on what this ayah actually means. The first interpretation is that it's literally the fig and the olive. Now, the fig and the olive meaning what? The fig and the olive are a representation of Palestine. Because in Palestine, I believe they grew figs and olives. Pretty sure. I was going to say, let somebody in the comments figure it out, but there's never anybody in the comments. So, the fig and the olive representing Palestine. Okay? The second interpretation is that it's referring to two mosques. The first mosque is the Masjid Nur, built upon Mount Judi, where he landed with the ship. And the second is Al-Bayt al-Maqdis, which is in Jerusalem, Masjid al-Aqsa, in Palestine. Tourists, then, next ayah, Turi Sinin. Turi Sinin is literally Mount Sinai, where Allah talked to Musa. He was going to get like guidance. He was lost, and then bit rusty. Anyway, وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ, and this city of security. This is referring to Mecca, because anybody who comes into Mecca is safe. So some of the Imams say that these first three ayat are referring to three different places, and Allah sent a messenger to each place. So Wat-Tini was Zaytun, the fig and the olive, representing Palestine, where Allah sent Isa. Tur Sinin, Mount Sinai, where Allah sent Musa. وهذا البلد الأمين, Mecca, where Allah sent Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And these three places specifically are mentioned in the end of the Torah, meaning the book of the Jews. The verse says, Allah has come from Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai is where Musa was sent, and shined from Sa'ir. Sa'ir is the mountain of Jerusalem, where Allah sent Isa from, and appeared from the mountains of Faran, meaning the mountains of Mecca, from which Allah sent Muhammad. This is how they make the connection. Okay, so the next ayat. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ. Verily we have created man in the best form, then we reduce him to the lowest of the low. So Allah is swearing that He has created man in the best image and form, not only in terms of the body, the human body that has been created and how it works and how it's like such a perfect system, but also in terms of the potential, in my opinion, the potential that each human being has. And then we reduce him to the lowest of the low. This is two-pronged. The first way that you're reduced from the low to the lowest of the low is first you are strong, and then when you become old and start dying, or you go from a situation where you were really strong at some point in your life, and then in a completely terrible state by the time you're ending it. So there's the physical aspect, and then there's like an aspect of legacy. Okay, the things that you do and the actions that you take, even if they have like a great effect in the beginning while you're alive, after you die, after some time, and not a very long amount of time in the grand scheme of things, you're completely forgotten. That's the second way you're reduced to the low and low. So first is that your body goes from a position where it is strong to where it is so weak, and then dies, and then it's like it never even existed. But also your deeds go from a point where you're doing nothing to where you do stuff, in your middle years and stuff like that, and then to a point where you're doing relatively nothing again, and when you die after that, your deeds might have an effect for some amount of time, but eventually become completely irrelevant as well in a short span of time. إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون. Except for those who believe and do righteous deeds, they will have a reward without end. So though everybody else, they die and their deeds also, and legacy dies with them, because some people who believe and do righteous deeds, because they serve Allah and do righteous deeds to gain His pleasure, because He is everlasting, He gives them a reward without end. Okay? And the only people who their deeds last forever are those who believe in Allah and do righteous deeds. فَمَا يُكَذِّبُكَ بَعْدُ بِالدِّينِ, then what causes you to deny after this the recompense? Ibn Kathir, he says that the explanation of this ayah is, for indeed you know the beginning, that Allah created everything, and you know that He is able to begin the creation, is able to repeat it, which is easier. Yani, it's easier to do something a second time than it is to do the first time. So Allah creating everything was harder than Him resurrecting everyone. So what is it that makes you deny the final return in the hereafter, if you've known this? Yani, if you accept that Allah has created, or that the universe has come into being, and that to deny after. أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين? Is not Allah the best of judges? Meaning that in His recompense, okay, He's going to judge, and isn't He the best to judge? Yani, because Allah is aware of everything that has happened ever, and all of the various sides, and all of the the minuscule things in the evolving environments that existed at the time in which these things were happening. etc. Yani, Allah is the best person who would be able to make a concrete, unbiased judgment about anything. So on the Day of Judgment, Allah is going to make sure that everyone who is wronged in this life receives justice, and everyone who wrongs in this life also receives justice. So that was the tafsir of Surah At-Teen. If you like this video, comment, subscribe, etc. And I'll see you in the next one.